Hi folks, welcome to Coffee and Habakkuk, the book of Habakkuk in the Bible. Let me explain, this is just an introductory one, explain why we're doing this. Me personally, I had prayed that God would give us, when he gives us a new house, he'd give us one with a balcony, and I kind of said if he did, I would go back to doing the coffee with. And I've taken some time to think about this, particularly with the book of Habakkuk, and there are reasons for doing it. Now, the idea, what we're going to do is we're going to do this every weekday. I'm trying to keep it within 5 minutes. The introduction might be a wee bit longer. But when I think about the world that we're living in, and I'm writing a bit about this, I get so discouraged and depressed about it in some ways. I like my alliteration, so I'm just so discouraged with the politics, with paganism. The paganism, for example, as we saw in the Olympics. I get discouraged with poverty within this world that's so rich, or with preachers who are supposed to teach the gospel and turn away from it, or perversity in public life and the propaganda we all face. And so why would we look at the book of Habakkuk? Well, there's something very, very simple. Martin Lloyd-Jones has a wonderful book on Habakkuk called From Fear to Faith. And let me give you just a couple of quotes from that. Ultimately, the main message of the Bible concerns the condition of the entire world and its destiny. And you and I as individuals are a part of that larger whole. That is why it starts with the creation of the world rather than of man. The trouble is that we're inclined to be exclusively concerned with our own personal problems, whereas the Bible starts further back. It puts every problem in the context of this worldview. So, you and I, we might want to escape from the world because it looks so dark and forbidding. We want to escape into our own lives, but then our own lives may not be that great. Whereas, what I want us to do in this is what the book of Habakkuk, I think, is intended to do. It's to ask questions and to hear what God has to say. Again, Lloyd-Jones, if we read right through the Bible and note its message, instead of just picking out an occasional psalm or the Sermon on the Mount or our favourite gospel, we shall find it has a profound philosophy of history and a distinctive worldview. It enables us to understand what is happening today, and that nothing that occurs in history fails to find a place in the divine program. The great and noble teaching of the Bible is concerned with the whole question of the world and its destiny. Now, this is not out of control. The world is not out of control. We might think like that. I think if we have a particular political philosophy, we fear if we lose that, if our political guy loses, or political woman loses, then we're in enormous trouble. And there may be other things that we place our hope in. But for Christians, sometimes there can be a fear that comes in, and we need to avoid that. So just a little bit about Habakkuk. We know very little about himself. We know, I'm going to leave out the legend stuff. We know from chapter 1 and verse 6 that he lived in the period before the rise of the Chaldeans, during the reign of the Judean king Jehoiakim. And so the dates for that are around 605 to 589 BC. And that's a very, very key time, as we'll see. Habakkuk is a book where Habakkuk, he's very concerned about injustice, and he's about prayer. And he's really aware of what's going on, but doesn't have answers. Now, the situation was really bad. In 612 BC, the Babylonians destroyed the Assyrian city of Nineveh. They got rid of the Assyrians in Mesopotamia. The Egyptians, who'd been allies of the Assyrians, they then attacked a city on the Euphrates called Carchemish, and where Josiah was then killed in that battle. And the Egyptians then placed Jehoiakim on the throne, and he was like a puppet leader. In fact, the independence of Judah as a nation had gone forever until the establishment of the modern state of Israel. Now, you can imagine many people at that time, they must have been utterly shattered. What was going on? What was happening? Josiah had done a whole lot of religious reforms, and instead of bringing blessing, it seems they lost their freedom. Instead of relative stability, there's oppression and violence. And I think that's very much where much of the Western world is now, which is why we're looking at this. Jehoiakim transferred his allegiance to Nebuchadnezzar. There was war between Pharaoh's Necho's army and Nebuchadnezzar. And again, Jehoiakim then went back to loyalty to Egypt. And finally, after Habakkuk had stopped prophesying, the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BC. So it was pretty desperate times. I want to argue that we're living in pretty desperate times. And I want to suggest to you that the main purpose, the main reason for Habakkuk prophesying at this time is to ask the question, how do we cope with the presence of evil in the world? How does God deal with that? How can we believe in a just and moral God when we see so much evil going on? Well, that's where we're going to go to. So instead of just sitting watching TikTok or YouTube videos of all the various political views and violence and destructiveness in the world, let's make sure we come to God's word, and may God bless his word to us, and hopefully I shall see you tomorrow. There, I'll let you have a quick look at where what this balcony looks out on, and then we'll love you and leave you. So if I just hold this up, you can see this is the view from our balcony. You know, it's kind of a metaphor. This is normally a very bright and sunny place, but there's a darkness and there's a foreboding, and I think that's in our culture. And I hope that as we look at this, the sun will shine upon us. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Bye.